18-year-old Bach looked down from the penthouse balcony of the once bustling Hunter Tower in central London. 31 floors below, several of the infected Terrans, or humans as they preferred to be called, moved through the streets. Why the Terrans created such a sickness astonished Bach. 80% of the population was infected or dead. The infected were now turning on the few who managed to escape the infection. Bach's people, the family, looked similar to the Terrans. The similarities were only superficial. He considered the Terrans to be even worse than the infected. But in a way, he was glad he was here. It was expected that before any male of the family turned 19, they must complete the Great Walk, a 1,000-day experience away from their home. Granted, Bach didn't have to leave his home realm to go to the human realm. He could have gone to one that didn't require journeying across the different planes of existence. But he'd come to Terra because he wanted to see this world die. He'd had a horrendous experience with Terrans as a child, around the time his mother died. Now, over a year after arriving into the center of the madness, Bach was tired and bored. He thought the Terrans would be gone by now, but a few of them still held on. "How many?" Enric, his friend, asked as he joined him.
73. Why?
I meant how many days have we been on the Great Walk? How much longer until we are declared men?
659 days gone.
Almost one for each spot on your arm. He flicked Bach's arm.
My shon are not spots,
Bach remarked. Yes, I know. They are birthmarks that move, Enric recited. Bach had a trail of black marks that ran from his shoulder, down past his elbows, and disappeared somewhere on his forearms. This was something he and his brothers inherited from their mother.
They do not move,
Bach corrected him. They disappear and reappear when you are in love, Enric mocked. I cannot believe we have been here less than 1,000 days.
Are you starting to regret that you have done this with me?
I chose to come on your Great Walk with you, Bach. I could have sailed the Jade Ocean or gone to the Moon Desert, but I came to Terra as your friend, the same way my father came with yours. Enric leaned over the banister. I'm past regretting this. So, anyone down there I can use? I need a new Thane.
No, they're all infected.
Are you sure? Enric peered over the edge. Not even one you can renew for me?
Why do you need another Thane?
Bach wasn't happy that Enric had even one.
What is wrong with the one you have?
Piper? Enric scoffed and climbed up on the railing next to Bach.
You know how she is.
Enric's Terran Piper was unstable, to say the least. He renewed her shortly after they arrived. She was his first Thane. Unfortunately, she didn't turn out right, as he'd done it without having the necessary knowledge. He wouldn't receive the knowledge until he ascended to the Eno caste after the Great Walk. Bach, on the other hand, was born into the Eno caste, so was taught from an early age how to turn free-minded Terrans into devoted Thanes.
She is the way you made her.
The way I made her? If you had renewed her when I asked, then she would be fine, and I would not have needed another.
Enric, I do not want Terrans around me,
Bach said angrily. No, she would effectively be my Thane once you have directed her to serve me, Enric said.
I do not want Terrans around me,
Bach repeated. Enric, leave Bach alone, Philip, Bach's steward, interjected as he came into the balcony. Everyone in the family knows Bach is allergic to Terrans. I'm sick of this, Bach. Piper has been here for months and you appear fine, Enric retorted.
She is your Thane. I do not have any need for her.
Bach rarely saw Piper. Enric had the sense to keep her away from him. You have Philip? Enric pointed at the steward. He is practically Terran.
He is only part Terran, and completely one of us.
Bach rubbed his temples in frustration. No one spoke about Philip's mixed heritage. Enric found out during the long walk because Philip required a greater amount of obsidian coral for the journey. Enric's initial reaction had been revulsion, but over the last 400 days it had improved to irritation. The steward's ancestry was an embarrassment to the family, and especially Bach's pillar, the third pillar. Bach understood that firsthand, as Philip and he were cousins. Bach's father, the Sen of the third pillar, often referred to Philip as the Great Mistake. Bach didn't know how much Terran was in Philip, but he looked like the rest of the family except for his eyes. They weren't pure green, as was the case with the rest of the family. His green eyes had brown speckles, something his Terran ancestor left with him.
Only the family can take the Great Walk. Philip would not even be here if he was not one of us,
Bach continued. That wasn't entirely true. Bach saw no Terran in Philip and treated him like the family. Only when Philip completed the Great Walk would he be considered family in every sense and by everyone, and no one would call Philip a mongrel.
Do not concern yourself with me,
Philip laughed, unscathed by Enric's insults.
I know who I am. I also know Enric's tetchy, because he's having difficulty controlling Piper today. He'll be fine in a few days.
Bach was amazed that Philip was so relaxed. He would have thrown Enric off the side of the building if he'd said that to him. A fall off the Hunter Tower wouldn't hurt Enric, but it would get his annoying friend out of his face, at least for the moment.
Piper might be the last Terran we see for months,
Philip replied.
This is going to be a very dull walk. I do not see why they believe this will convert you into a man,
Enric groaned.
The 7 have their reasons, Philip stated, but that is not why I am here. Enric, can you leave us, please? Bach, you sent Philip with a message to the Sin. I would like to hear what happened, Enric said. And any other news from home?
Only the steward was allowed to journey to the home world during the Great Walk.
Enric, when Bach and I are done, I will tell you whatever you need to know. You decide what I need to know?
Enric glared.
No, I will,
Bach retorted. Enric nodded and walked out without a word.
How is he?
Bach watched the glass door close behind Enric.
Your father is very well. He is getting used to his new wife,
Philip replied.
There is nothing really to say about home. So why did you ask Enric to leave?
Because I know how much it infuriates him, Philip smirked as he walked back and forth on the railing.
You need to be careful that Enric does not break your arms,
Bach laughed.
He might be strong, but I am smarter.
Philip slumped, but Bach caught him before he fell over the side. He dragged Philip back to the safety of the penthouse and set his friend down on the ground.
What is wrong? The obsidian coral I used for the journey home was cracked.
Philip attempted to get up.
I forgot to check it before I left. You went in through the threshold without it? You could have died.
The family used portals called thresholds to travel to their realm. Journeying through thresholds drained every one of their essences. The only way to make it through safely was by carrying a certain amount of obsidian coral. Traveling without it promised a painful and prolonged death.
I thought I would be fine,
Philip slurred.
You should not have provoked Enric so soon after your journey home,
Bach reprimanded.
You should save your energy.
I had to.
It is too easy. Philip, I will be fine in a few days after I have regenerated.
Bach was not comfortable with his answer. His friend looked pale, but he was right. He needed to regenerate.
Philip, this conversation is over. Please go and get some rest.
He ushered his friend into the penthouse.